You're watching your local television network, TSPN. And now, authors, writers, books, and beyond. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now, authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Hi, welcome to the Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond. I am your host, Kathy Boyd Fellure. Really happy to have you with us. I'm going to introduce my guests. This is Carole Brewer on my right, and Sunny and Al Lockwood on my left. And we're going to get going in a minute. First, I'm going to talk to you a little about Clark's Corner and Ione. Some of you have been there, and some of you haven't, and there's some new changes there. They have 4 new sofas for you to really relax in while you're having your coffee and your lunch now. And my writers group will be shooting our group photo there in about 4 days. So check it out if you want coffee or tea. They also have beer and wine and wonderful lunches. A brand new baker and managers Chris and Amber can help you with anything you would like to look at. So give them a try. And we are downtown in Jackson here, and next door is Hine & Company bookstore. Actually, they're more than a bookstore at this time. I think it says Hine & Company. Oh my gosh, you can go upstairs into the murder mystery movie theater now. Wonderful place there, and books everywhere. Rare, new, and used books. They sell theater props and myriad of old videos. You can get, I believe, even VHS and those old 8-tracks from there. Some lovely record albums, too. I used to homeschool there and spend the day with my kids. You can go to writers' workshops there. You can do critique groups there, book signings. I've done a book signing there. Wolf, Linda, Brian, and Eric. Give them a look-see, and they'll help you find whatever you need for your event and even help you with an event you're planning. So downstairs, we're in the little alley stairway next door. It's kind of a fun walk when my guests come up here. So we're going to start off with Carole. I'd like Carole to talk just a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Kathy. It's great to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
I'm glad you came.
Yeah, what do? I do windows. But besides doing windows, I'm really busy doing a lot of things underneath the umbrella of Carole Brewer Ministries. And so I've been in music ministry for quite a while. I'm a singer, done, just a huge variety of different types of, from small worship team groups in a church to large, big, blown-out productions of Capital Christian Center. I used to be in the Singing Christmas Tree, and I've sung with orchestras before, as sort of large orchestra backup. So from the small to the big, and when I was very busy as a musician, I was doing primarily Sunday evening concerts. I don't know if you remember back then when churches had Sunday evening concerts.
Yeah.
So I was very busy doing those, mostly in the San Francisco Bay Area, but quite a few places around the United States and some overseas as well. So I was very busy as a musician, and in the last 12 years or so working very hard on my speaking ministries. So now I've been able to meld those together, and I do women's retreats. And it's called The King and I have 3 coming up.
And where are they?
Well, one is in Danville, and it's Lake Hills Church, which is in El Dorado Hills. Those ladies are going to go down to Danville and have a nice getaway for the weekend with my retreat, The King and I, and so that's coming up. And then I'll be in Montana, coming in the beginning of October, Missoula, Montana, for the Northern Mountain Evangelical Free Women up there. And then at the end of October, I'll be in Arizona, Casa Grande, Arizona, for an all-open retreat that's open to all the women in the town.
So I take it you like to travel.
I don't mind it, and especially if it's for something that I love to do and my passion, and I love sharing about the Lord and how much He loves me, and I love sharing that with women. So that's one of the.
If someone wants to book you for a retreat, how do they do that?
Well, I have a website that really talks all about all the different things that, it's kind of like Octopus Ministries. I'm in a variety of things. I'm here and there and everywhere. As you can see, I have music CDs, I've written a book. So it's a variety, but they can go to carolebrewer.com, and that's Carole with an E.
Okay.
So it's carolebrewer.com.
Very
and
easy.
you'll find me, and just if you're curious to find some more about what I do and with music and my retreats and my voice training as well.
And your voice training, and that's
Uh-huh.
this book here.
Yes, Cooking Up a Song. It's everything you want to know about music and singing, but we're afraid to ask. And it's really just a very complete, it's kind of everything you would get if you were a college voice major, but it's written for the lay church person in a easy to understand, fun, non-threatening format. Same really good material in there, but just done to bring a lofty art down to ground level.
Oh, perfect.
So it's been a really fun journey for me teaching these voice classes, and I love it. I'm teaching, coming up, I'll be teaching 8 weeks in San Juan School District in the Sacramento area.
That's wonderful. That's where my dad used to be a teacher.
Uh-huh. So,
I would love to hear a little about the CWIMA.
yes. Well, we don't want to be confused a little bit. These are the letters CWIMA, but it's actually Christian Women in Media Association. And I want to be really clear that that's what it is, so we understand it. What is this CWIMA? Christian Women in Media Association. It was started in 2002 by our founder, Sue Ellen Roberts, in Dallas, Texas, and it brings media women together, and I'll be happy to tell you more about that.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a lovely intro, and I appreciate everything you shared. I enjoy going at your house to those meetings. I'm going to come off here to the left now to Sunny and Al, and I would love for you to tell us why you're here tonight.
Well, we're here tonight to talk about our new book called Cruising Panama's Canal, Savoring 5,000 Nautical Miles and 500,000 Decadent Calories.
Oh my goodness.
This is a travel memoir, and we wrote it together. It came out of a car wreck. We were hit while we were sitting at a red light, waiting for the light to change, by a texting driver.
Oh my God.
60 miles an hour totaled our car and her car and the car next to us.
Wow.
And we realized that you can be sitting at a red light and could be killed.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought, we had better start doing some of the things we've always dreamed of doing. And on Al's bucket list, number 1, he's a retired engineer, was going through the Panama Canal.
Wow.
So we did it.
We were very fortunate to find a ship that was moving from Alaska summer down to the Caribbean for winter cruises, called a repositioning cruise, which was a wonderful way to go from A to B through the canal at a very reasonable cost, at just exactly the right amount of time, the perfect time of year.
Did you have to research a lot?
Well, we did a little research, but what grabbed us was it was leaving from San Francisco. We didn't have to go anywhere. We lived just about 40 minutes from San Francisco.
Perfect.
So I said, let's do it,
We tried to avoid flying whenever possible. That's how it works.
How long was that on your bucket list?
It was out for, I guess, most of my life. My father was a skipper for the Merchant Marine. He was on the Trans-Pacific run. He sailed from San Francisco over to Japan before World War II.
Oh, wow.
And when the war came along, he got on the beach, as it were, in Panama. And so he told me about Panama, the exotic country with the palm trees and, the classic jungle kind of a story. It's always been cooking in the back of my mind. I never made it. I have been in over 30 countries around the world, but I'd never made Panama before then.
Now, how did you end up in 30 different countries in the world?
Some military. I was a field service engineer for a while. I only had one planet, as they said to me. And so I have traveled a lot. But that's one place I never made it.
And you enjoy travel, too.
I love travel.
You guys have a lot in common.
And
Did you travel that much?
Yes.
Mhm, so
Oh,
you went with
yeah.
him?
I couldn't. I couldn't. Oh, I wasn't with him. We're late in life couple.
Oh, you're
we
newlyweds.
met- We're fairly newlyweds. We met in 99 and married in 2000. So it's
Oh.
15 years next year. But when we decided to do this, we started researching the Panama Canal, and it was such a fascinating I mean, I hadn't thought about it at all. I started realizing how it was built and the drama and the
Yeah.
everything. And one morning at breakfast, I said to Al, hey, why don't we write a book about this? I'll bet you people would be interested. And he said, great, I'll write about desserts, and you can write about all the healthy stuff. So that's how we split up the writing.
Literally, that's how you
That's
did
right.
it?
That's how we did it, yep.
He reviews desserts like you can't believe it. We have so many reviews that say their mouth is watering. They want to tear the pages out and eat them. They can't wait to read his next. I mean, that's all he does in the book, other than going through the Panama is desserts, 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 desserts. You wouldn't believe all the desserts he reviews, taste tested, and
And
right.
the Lord has blessed me with the ability to put down a lot of desserts and never put on any weight.
Oh, that's a
is a
blessing.
That's right.
Every woman on the planet is jealous.
That's right. That's right. He eats like crazy and skinny as a rail.
You are. And you tried them all.
Oh, did he? And more than once.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, gosh. 2 and
Wow.
3 desserts, and then he takes some back to the room, and then, I mean,
I am
But
jealous.
when you go up on the ship, and I think it's typical of many cruise lines, there's this pastry cabinet up in the buffet, which is packed full of things that they constantly rotate. And you can't possibly begin to eat everything. So
My goodness.
but he tried.
You are such a trooper.
That's right.
I'm impressed. Well, when we come back, we're going to take a break in a few minutes. We have a clip. Now, who was the photographer for this?
We both took the
I'm the photographer.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You have a photography website we'll talk about before we go off the air tonight. So we'll come back in a little bit, and we'll go directly to your clips, and you will be able to hear, sorry, folks, hear Al narrate for you.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN. You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Hi, welcome back to Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond. My name's Kathy Boyd Fellure, and we're going to go right into a slideshow of the Panama Canal, and it will be narrated by Al Lockwood.
Of course, headed for the Reyes and back on since coming back from the, which of course for me, there you get, there I am, late. Of course, the cooking class taught us wonderful shops downtown. The size of the ship is in Mexico. And botanical garden, large down there, and headed in. This is going into this almost 9 tons apiece into the middle of the mountain, Canal Central blocks. You can see how now we're in Carnegie at the museum fort, which is owned by this.
Congratulations.
opening of the boat, the giveaway, that enthusiastic story. It's a trap. One headline said, Fast Woods.
You share a clip, my goodness.
A weekly column. A column shows up.
And photographing is in black and white. I have a to learn from history, water. So
Canal, exactly the same way that we did it. Very
I know it has to.
well done.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Hi, welcome back to Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond TV show. I'm your host, Kathy Boyd Fellure, and I am thrilled to have my guest today. Al and Sunny just shared about their Panama book and their cruise, and we're going to take a little shift to the right here for this segment, and you're going to hear a little more from Carole Brewer, and she has a lot more to share than just in the intro. I would love for you to, we were going to get to hear her sing a song, but that isn't going to happen. I'm very disappointed. I've heard her sing at her home when she plays her grand piano, and she has a lovely, lovely voice.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So tell us more about your music.
My music, well, let me see, I've been doing music for quite a while, And I should share just a little bit about my testimony. I did almost quit singing completely because it wasn't until I became a Christian. I came to the Lord when I was a senior in college. And instead of quitting singing, you have an instrument in your body that if you kind of like a guitar in a guitar case, and there it sits, but unless you pick it up and learn how to play it, it just sits there. And in that case, I just really wanted to shut the lid and not sing because it's just low self-esteem and being really afraid to get in front of people. Mm-hmm. But I after becoming a Christian, coming to the Lord, then I just my whole demeanor changed, of course, and I became more relaxed, and my confidence wasn't in me any longer. It was in the Lord. And so then I was able just to soar. And actually working with people with disabilities for quite a few years, I thought, my goodness, with all of their problems, what do I have to worry about? And it was through teaching them singing and working with them that the Lord started opening doors for me to sing a lot more.
So you had to get over shyness.
Oh, it was more than shyness. I was born cross-eyed and legally blind in my left eye. I'm still legally blind in my left eye. And so, children made fun of me when I was growing up, and I did have my eyes straightened through surgery when I was 9 and then 11. And so even though my eyes were straightened on the outside, my heart wasn't on the inside. So all those barriers had been built up, and it really was until I was a senior. I was a music major, and I got an A in music history. We talked about history, but I was just couldn't sing for anyone. I was just that low self-esteem, and I really didn't have a reason to sing, a real reason of confidence and security and knowing God loved me, and I didn't know those things at the time. And so when I came to know that, then it was became a joy to sing rather than just looking for approval from other people. And so I've been in music ministry for quite a while, singing for a lot of other well-known authors and speakers, opening for them and leading worship from, at their conferences. And, well, I have the gift of gab, I guess you can figure that out. And Carole Kent, who's a wonderful speaker and author, prolific author, was one of my big influences as far as encouraging me to develop my speaking skills and writing skills. And so that's what I had studied with her. And
she's lovely.
She's a lovely person, and she really supported me in my ministry. So I practiced and studied hard, and now I'm also speaking and combining my music ministry with my speaking ministry, which is now doing women's retreats. And the King and I Women's Retreat. And so that's really been a big joy. That's one aspect. And then, let me see, we have a new radio show coming up on the internet, and then I'll be able to use my gift of gab some more. So that's called Bible Chicks, and you can also go to my website and find out that's going to be coming up this fall. Bible Chicks, and it's about women who are reading and believing and living out God's Word.
And who is that? Who's the publisher?
It's not a book, it's a radio show.
Oh, radio.
Internet radio.
Internet radio.
It's on a new network, and it's called pureworshipradio.com.
Now, is that through the media group?
Well, I actually did, and you actually know Sandy and Steve Padilla. And we're collaborating, and they're starting their network, and I'm going to be producing programs on their network.
Yeah, I met Sandy at Carole's for one of the meetings.
Right.
It was, and she's lovely too. Are you excited about that? That's kind of new territory.
It is new territory, and actually, my group in Sacramento, we have a group that was mostly out of one church, but there are other churches involved. In fact, one of the ladies that came with me tonight is a member of Bible Chicks. And about 5 years ago, I said, "Oh my goodness, that'd be kind of a cute name for a show, Bible Chicks." And there it sat, and we looked last fall, and that domain was available. So we now have BibleChicks.com, and I'm thrilled. So
Wonderful.
Bible Chicks, and so that's one of the areas of my ministry and the women's retreats, my voice training, and then I serve Christian Women in Media Association. I serve as the National Networks Director, USA. So I'm on the leadership committee there.
And she does a great job.
And yeah, did you?
Actually, I brought Heather Murdoch, who does a Faith, Love, and Hope show here, down to Carole's, and she's brought Sandy.
Right.
I don't know if Sandy and Steve, but Sandy for sure on her show.
Well, we're just girls. So
Yeah.
At Christian, but we have a national conference every year in April. We have 5 regional dinners, banquets in Minneapolis, Dallas. Yes.
Lots of
These are
desserts.
girls. These are women in Christian Women in Media. So we have, okay, sure. Be happy to hold the flyer up and share that. But we are Christian Women in Media. We have 5 regional connection dinners in Hollywood, Dallas, Minneapolis, New York, and Nashville. And then I've been involved in that. I was a regional director in Costa Mesa for a couple of years. And I'm up in Sacramento. We have a lot of women in media all through this whole Northern California area. I had a heart to get them involved, and not everybody could get down to Hollywood. So our leader, Sue Ellen Roberts, supported me. She says, go ahead, let's start some local networks, the small gatherings. And so I am now overseeing 12 around the United States, and we're growing, expanding.
Oh, sounds good.
Yep, we have a lot of ladies on board that I'm going to be meeting with on the phone conferences really quickly, and then we're also growing internationally as well. So it's Christian Women in Media Association, and if you're an author, a speaker, a musician, broadcaster, or if you're in film, we want to hear from you, because we are women who are, united in purpose and vision. So.
And she does a wonderful, when we come together, like you've had a tea and a luncheon. I've gone to a couple of those. We network.
Yes.
You meet people that some you've met before, but new ones each time. And the networking's phenomenal.
It is, because we're sharing, resources, sharing ideas. The women in this organization, and this is why I have been so passionate about this, is because the women are very generous with their sharing of their experience, and we have all different ages from college age, but most are out there. They have different platforms, and they're busy, and we share ideas with each other. Not everybody is a musician, so a musician as myself could come alongside and help someone who needs music as part of their presentation, and someone who's a prolific writer can contribute what they know as far as what to look out for when you're getting your books published. And we have film. We have our leader in New York is Sharon Kahn, and she is now promoting her own film and doing screenings around the country. So it's just a very rich, incredible group of women. We're an army of women united. We're really becoming much stronger by uniting together in our purpose and vision. So it's Christian Women in Media Association, and you can go to CWIMA.org and learn all about us and see all of the celebrities who are involved in our group as well.
Who are the celebrities?
Well, Kay Arthur is very supportive. Vonette Bright they were in the ground level of starting it. Oh my goodness, I could now think of all of the different people, but there's really we have, let me think now, so many. And Thelma Wells, who was with Women of Faith. Thelma Wells, I'm on a leaders call every Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. with women around the country for prayer call, and Thelma is on that. And my goodness, let me see, Jennifer O'Neill, who is a famous actress from movie days.
Summer of 42.
Summer of 42. She is in our group and has been one of our speakers. Jennifer Strickland was a Ford model. She actually was Barbie for the 25th anniversary of the Barbie 25th anniversary. She's tall and still gorgeous, and she has a marvelous ministry to young women in regards to models and eating and the truth about that lifestyle and that profession. So
you touch into a lot of different areas, not just central. It goes in a lot of ways. For the models, that's not something normally.
Well, no, it's it's not particularly ministry. I choose to say mission.
Mission.
Because these are women out in theater. They're actresses, especially in Hollywood, and these are Christian women in media, in all forms of media, and they can be behind the glass. They don't have to be in front of the microphone. They can be in production and film. So it's just the inner workings of it are, it's really just designed to bring us together.
And I'm curious, how did you get started in that?
Let me see. Well, that's kind of an interesting. At the time I had a ministry coach. You know how we have life coaches.
Oh, yes.
This is something to help me with my marketing and branding. And she said, you really need to get down to San Diego. And this was back in, I think, 2008 or 7 or something. You need to get down. And that was when Kay Arthur was speaking. And it was the first West Coast meeting for Christian Women in Media. And I met Sue Ellen Roberts, and just from a series of just different things that happened, and I ended up in Dallas for another situation, and I ended up singing for one of their events, And it was about a few months later, and she asked me would I take the West Coast region and develop that. So I did, and I did
So
that.
basically, it was what we call a God thing.
It was a God thing. It was absolutely God's appointed timing. Because that plane ticket that I had to Dallas, to use for Dallas to go sing there, was actually originally intended for some other event. And so I had the ticket, and I went to Dallas, and I sang, and that's how I got involved.
Very
So,
interesting.
but I
Kind of
love
like
this-
your red stoplight.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yes. I love the humility that the women exhibit in this group, and so it's that's why I feel so strongly about that it is a really excellent organization and association to spend our time with.
Well, if you want to come back, we're going to go into our last segment, our final segment, and a little bit of sharing from everyone here in the end and give you any additional information we may have already given you, but also repeat websites. I know you've seen some on the screen of the pamphlets that Carole's been sharing. So come back, join us, a little bit more of history and a lot more fun. Thanks.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN. You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Hi. Welcome back. Again, I'm Kathy Boyd Fellure, and this is the final segment of my show, Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond. Kind of went a little beyond today. I'm really enjoying that part. My guests, Carole and Sunny and Al, are going to give you a little bit of what you haven't heard yet. I have questions about Al's photography first because I felt the slideshow was very vintagey. And I had emailed Sunny, are you going to do a cookbook? Have you thought about that?
Well, I love to cook, but more than anything, I love to bake. So it's a possibility.
You have the pictures? Do you take pictures of your own creations?
Once in a while. Once in a while. I'm still right now experimenting in many ways with new processes. So
Wow.
Actually, the
That's
very
fun.
old processes. He's doing the kind of photographic processes they did back in the 1800s. You know, with albumin. Yeah,
Wow.
he's doing old-fashioned processes, both for developing the film and for printing, making
In your own dark room.
in his own darkroom.
Have you always had a dark room?
no,
That's a new thing?
not as a new thing. That's one joy about moving down here. I finally had the space to put one up. And I bought out a photographer who went out of business. He converted to the dark side and went digital.
Oh, digital.
So
I call it the dark
I
side.
got all of this stuff. The 19th of August this year, you may not know, was the 175th anniversary of the invention of photography. It's National Worldwide Photography Day, but that's exactly what it's all about. It's a fellow named Louis Daguerre released a patent on the first process.
And what nationality was he?
French.
French.
All
Sounded
the early
French.
photography was French and English.
Which is so interesting
It's
because,
fascinating.
Yeah.
which is interesting because, the Panama Canal was started by a Frenchman. You know that? And failed. And then the Americans took over. So the French started photography and the French started digging the Panama Canal.
Wow.
Interesting.
And then I'm just curious because I've never had my own dark room and I would really love to. What is your preference? You said is your trademark the black and white?
Yes, that's what I did color for many years. But to do color, you means you have to send all your film out to have it processed.
Yeah.
And doing it myself in black and white, I can do the entire thing from one end to the other. I'm enamored of people like Ansel Adams and Brett Weston and Imogene who do that beautiful black and white work. It's what sells. If you're a photographer today, you have to have something different to sell. Every gallery is packed full of beautiful color landscapes.
I am a Lake Tahoe lover, and I love to do black and white photography of the lake, and someone very close to me recently asked, how can you do that? And actually, it's beautiful. It's beautiful in black and white too. It's just a different way to see it.
There's something very lush about black and white, isn't it?
And it also leaves a little to the imagination,
Yeah.
and I like that.
I love the old black and white movies.
Me too.
Yeah, they're lush too, aren't they?
Yeah.
Very classic, and
Yes.
I don't think they've really. I'm not a big digital fan. I know this is it and it's here to stay, but I don't know, preferred the old, just like you. And another question, actually, so on the chance that you two might be writing another book sometime in the future, are you going to have more photography in it? Do you
Yes.
have, I'm sure you two will be working together again.
We have
You're too cute a couple not to.
We have a major trip planned for this fall. We're going to Europe. Basically, be gone 6 weeks. And I'm trying to figure out how much poundage of cameras and film I'm going to lug along with me.
Where do you get your film now?
Lots of places. There's a resurgence in it. It's quite available.
I have my little rolls that I treasure. I shoot from a digital mostly. That's what we're using today, but I prefer the other. I have my grandfather's Nikon F
Sure.
from when they were in Vietnam in he was a contractor there. He was there when President Kennedy was assassinated.
63, yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
62, 63.
Not long after my time.
Yeah, and I have all that photography from there too. I'm the family historian. So, moving along, because I could talk about that for a whole show. I would love to do it. I have all his slides too.
Yeah.
I love being the keeper of the history.
Yes, I do too.
I'm the keeper of the history of the cabin, and that is an event within itself. So
Yeah.
going back to music, I love the blend of this travel and music. There's music on the ships, right?
Oh, yes, every
Every
day.
day.
Yes, I
When you
did when I was in New
yeah.
Zealand. On our cruise between Australia and New Zealand.
How
I led
exciting.
worship. On the ship.
Oh,
That was great. But you were talking about not doing a cookbook, but I did a cookbook. It's called Cooking Up a Song, and it's in the style of a cookbook. And sometimes on my book table, because
you open it and
yeah,
show?
sure, it's a voice training. You can see this is the logo up at front. See the pot and the music coming off
Yes.
the top. It's in the style of a cookbook. And let's see. Well, what can I show you here? Just something that looks well. It's about singing. It's voice training, but it has a lot of references to cooking. And for instance, when you're singing, you want to season. You don't want to sing everything all loud or all soft. You add in, like you're seasoning to a dish. So I do refer to a lot of food terminology. It is for the lay person. So let me see. I can show you a better picture here. But I have. On every chapter I have at the end, it says food for thought. So that's where I have my scriptures at the end of
Yeah.
each chapter.
That is so clever.
This one, let me see, I have serving suggestions, diction delicacies, and well-baked breathing.
I
So
love
it's all based, and so people come by on my book table to go, oh, another cookbook. And I go, yeah, but this is, and the reason is because you see, when it's really good, when music is really good, it cooks.
Yes.
So that's the whole
That's
point.
right.
I love that concept.
So it is Cooking Up a Song. It is unique, and it says here at the back, you may be thinking to yourself, why a cookbook to learn how to sing? And I said, and I go on to talk about that. Well, should I throw another something back on the staff, or something I've kind of, or am I using too much gravy, or something like that? So I have a funny little thing on the back about that. But it is really, it's just to help the person to relax and to just enjoy the process of singing and not being threatened by the ivory tower presentations that you most often find in college
So is
voice
there
training.
a touch of humor too?
Absolutely, and I have funny stories in there about my singing on camera and different, just because
Please share one. Just one.
Well, I do have. Well, let me see. Do you want to hear about the bees or the red
bees.
tongue? Oh, the bee. Okay, this was in a church, and yes, and this really happened. It was in a church, and it was a Sunday morning, and the pastor was gone, so they asked me to really do the whole service. And one of the elders in the church was in charge of making sure that all of my needs were met, and so when I was singing, I had just finished a beautiful, tender ballad. It was one of those ballads that at the end there was no applause and everyone just went, and it was a quiet moment. My eyes were closed and I felt a big whack on my rear. And I looked to my left, and the elder that was in charge of taking care of me was backing off. He had the church bulletin wrapped up in his hand, and he was backing off. And I looked around, and there were some dead bees on the floor. And so what he did, I guess a bee landed on me, and he whacked that bee. And the congregation was, I'm telling you, they were in shock. And their jaws were dropped, their eyes were wide open, they couldn't believe it. And all I could say is, I believe. And they just tore up and laughed. And it took me about, 5 minutes to get them back. Like, isn't it wonderful to have humor? And don't we love the Lord? And isn't it wonderful to have laughter? Because they were just practically on the aisles, really. And he was backing off. And his wife told me later, I'm so glad that you could have been terribly stung, by that bee. I don't know about that. He saved you? I don't know about that. But, I really did very well on sales that day. I have to say. I don't know what that was about. But, that really happened. And I did look back in the choir loft. There were quite a few dead bees behind there. And I wondered how many of the choir members got rear-ended by the same guy. So, anyway, it was a memorable day.
I love that. You were very quick-witted to come up with that, just like that. My goodness, that's part of your creativity. Someone else would have just stood there,
Yes. So I sing. I have 4 music CDs.
Can you show them one by one?
Sure. I'm a songwriter. So the one that is the most current is my New Life CD, and these are all my original songs. And I recorded this in Nashville. And so they have anthems. It's kind of programs like a concert. So there's some up-tempos and anthems. And then this one I did in North Hollywood. This is Everything Began With You. Beautiful, lush hymns, gorgeous orchestrations. I sing Be Thou My Vision.
I love that song.
And a couple of my originals on here too. These are just gorgeous songs. Everything Began With You. So this is timeless worship in here. Then I was in a women's Bible study, and we were studying highlights of the Pentateuch for 1 year in community Bible study. So I took about 17 of the Old Testament scriptures that we were supposed to memorize, and I put them to music so that it would be easy to learn. And they are for adults, so these aren't children's songs. And it's me and a grand piano leading, and God's words and the music. And so I have 17 Old Testament scriptures on here. And then the last song is a New Testament song called He Filled the Hole in My Heart, which pulled that all together.
Were you in Sacramento or Roseville CVS?
That was at Sun River, I think, at the
Karen
time.
Burrell?
Yes.
I used to be her prayer chairman.
Yes, okay. That was there.
That's a wonderful
And
that
then
was
some, beginning one.
So real quick, the last
Okay,
one,
well,
and then
this
we're
is
gone.
Celebrate the Lord, and this is just a well-known, famous song, Sandy Patty, Steve Green, a lot of the artists that you would remember, and this is just
Lovely.
popular.
Thank you so much. I hate to have to leave. I would love to go on. You guys are fascinating, and we're going out to dinner, and we are most likely having dessert next door. So thank you for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed the show. I hope you learned something new. You must have with the history lesson, and wonderful retreats if you want to contact Carole. And you can call the station if you didn't quite get some information. Just call the station here and they'd be happy to give it to you. I'll see you next month in October with my film people. Thank you for joining us. Bye, guys.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN.